All right, very excited to announce my guest today, Klaus Eichstadt, guitarist for Ugly Kid Joe, one of my all-time favorite bands. Finally got to see them live and they absolutely crushed it. They're on tour now with Fozzy and Pistols at Dawn. It's a great package. I highly recommend it. Ugly Kid Joe also has a new album out now called Rad Wings of Destiny. And we're going to talk about the tour, the new album, some old stuff, lineup changes, and so much more. Stay right there. Yes, I've got the same hat.
You do? Oh, were you at a show recently?
Yeah, I was at the Vegas show. It was amazing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've only waited, 31 years to see you guys. I couldn't see you as a kid because I think you came to, I lived in Seattle and you came to like Rock Candy, but it was like 21 and over.
Right.
Couldn't go to that one. You might have played with like opening for somebody, but I might have been too late.
Probably Scatterbrain maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah. By the time that I like really got into you guys, I think it was that summer. And so I don't know if did the Aussie tour come through that one?
The Aussie tour, yeah. Seattle, I thought Seattle was our first show on the Aussie tour.
Okay.
In 1992. It would have been what was it? Summer of 92, like August maybe.
Wow. I might have just missed that because that would have been a good show looking at the line. It was like you and Ozzy and Slaughter, maybe?
Yeah.
That would have been fun. But yeah, I finally got to see you guys. It was amazing. I couldn't believe. I just had to ask, like, how does Whit keep his voice in shape so well? Because it's hard as a singer. I mean, a drummer maybe too, but I mean, you can play guitar, bass. That doesn't really affect with age, I wouldn't think as much. But singing, I mean, what can you do with your voice? Like, did he just get lucky, or does he have some sort of crazy vocal tip?
He is kind of a freak of nature, honestly. For instance, he doesn't do strenuous vocal exercise. But he does take care of his voice, and you just can't live too fast, to keep your voice up. But yeah, I mean, like if he's smoking, he's not going to sing as good. If we go out one night, have a few drinks and a few cigarettes, next day is going to be harder. But yeah, you're right. You do have to, as a singer, you have to kind of be careful. And but Whit is also, like I said, kind of a freak of nature. Like his voice is just, he never, even early on, I remember when he was a teenager, just like he'd I can sing, and we're like, no, you can't. And we're like, oh, kind of can. Like he's actually kind of has a cool voice. Just kind of makes it kind of sounds like David Lee Roth,
That's crazy. Yeah, because he had to work on it though, right? Didn't it? I mean, it took.
Well, yeah, he was. But he did actually go to the VIT, the Vocal Institute in Hollywood, for like a year or whatever. But for the most part, most of his singing ability has come from just singing in bands. In particular, really this band. I mean, before Ugly Kid Joe, the band he was in became Ugly Kid Joe, his first band, really. So, and then after Ugly Kid Joe, he played in Medication. He played in Life of Agony, which was a really great learning experience for him, trying to emulate someone else's singing, a different style too. And then he played in, of course, Another Animal. So over the years, he's had practice.
Yeah. And didn't you say, isn't the story that you gave him a Judas Priest record and you told him, all right, if you learn how to sing like this, you can be in a band with me. And he did, right? He figured it out.
See, he likes to say it's in a band with him. I think it's more like I said, if you can sing like this, you can sing in any band. You know?
Yeah. There you go.
If you can sing like Judas Priest, Rob Halford, you are going to get a gig. And I think at the time, my friend who turned me on to guitar was really into Priest and was like, Klaus, this is the best singer in metal right here, Rob Halford. Tell Whit, and I turned Whit basically on to Rob Halford and Priest in general, and which he never has looked back. Whit probably knows every lyric to every Priest song ever recorded. I mean, he's a massive Priest fan.
Even does he like the Tim Ripper Owens stuff that's not Halford? Or
that's probably I'm going to go back every vocal recorded by Rob Halford.
By Halford, okay, fair enough. So because you guys the band was the band originally called Overdrive.
Yeah.
But for a short time, was it actually called Suburban White Alcoholic Trash?
For like a split second, yeah. It was a song we had, and I had made like a T-shirt with a logo, and I was kind of pushing for that name. And then Ugly Kid Joe, the show, came up with Pretty Boy Floyd, and it kind of just stuck.
Would it have been like SWAT? Would it be like an
Yeah,
abbreviation?
exactly.
Okay.
Acronym, right?
Yeah. Acronym. Yeah, because that's
I was really into Wasp at the time, and I thought their logo was so cool. And I was like, I want to do something
Okay.
rad. And so I was really into that show SWAT, the show. And I thought, what could that anagram be? And I came up with Silver and White Alcoholic Trash. And it was pretty accurate, actually.
So then did that lyric make it into the Whiplash Liquor song?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I love that. So that one and Matt, that's my only gripe about the concert is I didn't get to hear Whiplash
Right.
Liquor or Mad Men. Those two are two of my favorite songs.
Oh, sorry. We've been playing. We actually played Whiplash Liquor the other night, but we didn't really know it, so we kind of played half of it and faked our way through it. But Mad Men, we played on and off for the last 10 years for sure. It's been kind of a staple in and out of the set.
Yeah. I mean, every song was so good. Like just that opening riff of Neighbor. Oh my God, that was so cool. Cause that was one of my favorite songs as a kid, and getting to hear that live. And like I said, you guys killed it, especially Whit's vocal. Cause that's the thing you always worry about with bands.
Yeah, singers.
As they age, you're like, oh, they're not going to be able to sing this. And he killed it. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he's kind of a freak of nature, but you do have to take care of it.
Yeah. It's like,
we all are, we're all obviously in our 50s now, so we can't do what we used to do, obviously. And like, for instance, this has been a dry tour, California sober tour.
Yeah, but you're
no alcohol.
He's sounding good. The whole band is sounding good. You're jumping around out there. You're running around. You guys are having fun. I mean, it looks like you're like kids. It's crazy.
Well, part of it is, we are living a much healthier lifestyle, especially at this age, but also it is fun. It totally is fun. And it's weird. Like some days I'm tired and I'm like even starting to think like, man, am I too old for this? And then as soon as like it's time to get up and play, it's like you have this adrenaline rush, and it does really honestly feel like you do feel young again. It's as stupid as that sounds. Like you do feel like a kid. It doesn't feel much different now than it did when I was 23 is all I'm saying. It doesn't feel much different, and knock on wood, like physically, obviously that's the main thing. I have had issues with my fingers. I've had a pinched nerve and it was messing up my fingers, possible arthritis. So there are things for, guitar players. And of course, Whit throat thing, he's been sick before and lost his voice very rarely, but, he's been close to it a couple times. So, barring those things, you really do get this adrenaline rush, and it really feels, I mean, it feels like it was 30 years ago. It doesn't feel much different,
That's amazing. Do you feel it more with certain songs, like either newer songs or just songs that are more rockin' songs, or is it just a full adrenaline the whole show throughout?
It's pretty much the whole show. I mean, sure, you always have your kind of favorites, and it's usually a group thing, or it's a really fun riff to play, or and partially too, the crowd favorites help because they sing along, and that kind of gives you an extra little like, oh shit, they actually like this, enough to really be into it. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything, but for the most part, I think, the whole show. Sometimes, like when you hear the lights go down and you hear that kind of initial sound from the crowd, it totally, like, the adrenaline just goes, and then all of a sudden you have just energy. Like you could be taking a nap and you'd hear it be like, whoa, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So, and we've been doing like an hour and 20, hour and 25, hour 15, something like that, and I don't really ever feel all too tired after. I mean, afterwards you're kind of like, whoa, I'm tired, but during the set, your adrenaline for an hour and a half is pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I love you guys have such a larger catalog now, and the new album is great. So I had a question, because there's definitely, with the new stuff, there's definitely like some AC/DC vibes. But correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are more of the fans of the Bon Scott AC/DC than the Brian Johnson AC/DC.
Honestly, I love them both.
Really?
I love them both. Okay. Yes, Bon Scott is probably, in rock and roll, my favorite lyricist of all time. I used to study his lyrics and be like, wow, this guy writes some really clever, funny, awesome. I mean, just the fact that he has two versions of the Jack, and one's about playing cards. It's like genius, And then of course, Big Balls is freaking hilarious. And just, I mean, and Highway to Hell may be the greatest rock and roll song ever written, like just the everything about it. But then you listen to Back in Black, and I would step back and say that's the greatest rock album ever recorded in the history of rock and roll. So they both are just insanely good.
That's a good point. I never thought of that. You're right, though. It's like the old stuff definitely had that sense of humor more so
Yeah, Bon
than the
was a
newer
great
AC/DC.
lyricist.
Yeah, they like a whole lot of Rosie and, like you said, big balls, and like
I mean,
they didn't
yeah,
really have that with Brian Johnson. Now that I
yeah,
think,
his lyrics were, I would say, maybe not quite as original as Bon Scott's, but his voice is incredible. And of course, the band had, I guess you could say, not come into their own. They were always the greatest, but with Mutt Lange producing, and it was, Back in Black was the second record, I believe, with Mutt Lange, that where it just went to another stratosphere of what a great rock band should sound like. And they completely nailed it, and for several records after that too. So yeah, it's, they're both freaking insanely great.
yeah, I just remember as a kid, like it was Brian Johnson was like my era. And then I had kind of had to go back and listen to the
Right.
Bon Scott, and I was like, oh, okay, this stuff's very good too, obviously. But yeah, I'm like kind of with you. I like them both. So,
well, my sister is actually who turned me on to AC/DC, and probably inadvertently Whit too, because we were kind of friends at the time, and my sister was really getting into rock. And she had all the first AC/DC records before Back in Black even came out. So she had already totally schooled me on AC/DC and Power Age and High Voltage, and if you want blood, you got it, and all those. She had all the records. So I was already like just starting guitar and learning the arrangements of AC/DC. And so I really only knew AC/DC as Bon Scott until he died. And it was like, my sister was devastated. And I was like, no way. And I was pretty young. And then when the new record came out, I still remembered it like it was yesterday. We were at my parents' friend's house, and the son, who was like 16, he could drive, and he had bought Back in Black, and he had played it for us. And me and my sister were like, no way, this is the new singer? And he's all, yep. And we were like, I remember just being so blown away, because we were all sad, like AC/DC's never going to be the same,
mm-hmm.
And we loved AC/DC so much, and we were like, wow, they're just as good, and the record is insane.
Yeah, no, they've definitely put out a lot of good music since then with Brian Johnson. He's great. He's another one of those guys that can continue to sing at a high level, like Steven Tyler.
How he does,
too.
well, you just pretty much said the two guys that, like, the fact that they're still singing like that is incredible, because even doing it into their 40s was amazing, and 50s. Now they're like 70, and they're fucking just insanely rad.
Yeah, I've never seen Aerosmith, and they're going to retire, but I can't afford tickets for that one. So
it's probably $1 zillion, right?
It's a lot. Yeah, it was like a few hundred just for the nosebleeds. Yeah. So
we played with Aerosmith in Brazil, and I remember being just blown away by Steven Tyler in particular. His energy, his voice, everything was perfect. His screams, his whole thing, his presence, his moves. I mean, he was just the quintessential amazing frontman, and not just frontman. I mean, his singing ability is incredible. Like, what a badass voice.
Yeah, for sure. So the only one you haven't played with is AC/DC, right? Because you've done with Ozzy and Judas Priest and all these other guys.
Scorpions, Motorhead. We've done so many great things. Been able to play with so many amazing bands. Guns N' Roses, The Cult, like all the bands we grew up with. Van Halen,
Def Leppard.
Def Leppard. I mean, it's just been we've been so blessed that we actually got to play with, open for. I mean, that's honestly starting out. You don't really dream of yourself. You kind of dream of like, we'll headline an arena, but you really kind of realistically, like, I just want to open for the bands that I love. If we can get to open for Van Halen or Ozzy, I mean, that would be the top of the mountain. And we did it, which is pretty rad. Those two in particular, I would say Van Halen and Ozzy were, just so big. And of course, Priest.
So does it,
after like 30 years, we got to open for Priest. That was awesome.
Yeah. Does it still feel cool to still play, or does it feel like you can't ever achieve that feeling again? Or is it just like it's the same feeling over and over again when you
we played with Priest like a couple years ago at Virginia Beach, and I cried after the show when I went out and realized what had just happened. That we had just, because it was during COVID, it was really weird. We didn't know what was going to happen, and we just kind of got there, and it was kind of a nightmare because of all the logistics. And when we played the show and the show was over, our show was over, you take a deep breath, and you walk out into the crowd, and Priest comes on, and we're like, we just opened for Priest. And I just swelled up and started calling my sister and all my friends that, who back when we were 14, 15 would listen to Priest with. And like, we just opened for Judas Priest. in America, direct support. Like, this is crazy,
I
'cause
thought of going to that show. Wasn't it in Florida or something?
it was in Virginia,
Or
Beach.
Virginia, yeah. It was on the East Coast. I remember I was thinking, I was like, oh man, because it was the first time you guys had played in America in a long time.
Yeah, that exactly, years and years. And we played like 3 shows within the last 12 years in the US, and that was the 4th. And then we hadn't played here since like 1995, I think.
So how is the reception from the tour in the US now? Because like I said, when I was the Vegas show, at least, I mean, you guys killed it. I can't imagine anyone didn't think that was one of the best shows they've ever been to. Is that kind of been the reaction to every show?
It's been really great. We didn't know what to expect. We haven't been here in a long time, and every show's been great. Some better than others, but for in general, it's been really, really great. Like, really great fans, like really into it, kind of like. And I get it. There's people that are older that were fans. They grew up, but people are bringing their kids, people in their 30s and 20s and 30s are showing up, and it's kind of a nice mix of age groups, I guess you could say, and people are, some of the real true fans are really singing the new stuff, which is, we don't know if it's just going to be a nostalgia thing for people that are like, oh, I had, those 2 years in high school when Ugly Kid Joe was popular, and I remember those couple songs, I'll go see this for fun. But people are singing the new stuff as well from the last, 10 years. And it's like, oh, these are like people that actually really like the band, not just, it wasn't just a short period in their time. They're actually really fans. That's been pretty cool and refreshing.
No, absolutely. Yeah. For me, it's both. Because like that is like a nostalgic time,
Yeah.
but then also like, yeah, once you guys came back with the Stairway to Hell EP, I was like, oh, like my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, this is so good. I'm so glad you guys are back. And then like, it's been a couple different, there was that one. And then there was the Uglier Than They Used to Be.
Yeah.
And then this latest one, Rad Wings of Destiny, is great. That Ain't Living, catchy song, not like the other, catchy song. Dead Friends Play, great song. That's an homage to all the heroes who've passed. Eddie Van Halen, Lemmy.
Oh yeah.
Did you write that one? No, Whit wrote that one.
And he really Whit definitely like had been kind of like literally, it was like line by line over like a few months, and it just finally came together, and we had pretty much finished the record, and he's like, I've got a new song. And he basically went to hang out with Dave Fortman, who is a great producer, and the two of them just sat around for like a week and recorded 2 more songs, and that was one of them. And
what was the other one?
Up in the City.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that made the record kind of the end. That was we play it every night.
Which song was, you had like at least one song on the record though, right? That was just yours that you wrote?
Yeah, Failure.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Because it's definitely different sounds of different songwriters. Like I know Fortman is kind of, Whit's into the heavier riffs and stuff. And then Fortman writes writes not mostly, but some of the slower songs like Busy Bee off.
Right.
And you guys played that at Vegas, which was awesome. Because that's not normal on the set list, right?
Okay. No, it is. You know what? Our band is we have sort of a different lineup almost every tour, ever so slightly here and there. So we kind of like, customize the set list a little bit to who's in the band and who's playing and who's good at what. Like, oh, you sing that harmony really good, let's do that song. A little bit like that, So we kind of like
explain that, because I thought when I had Dave Fortman on my show a couple of years ago, he's like, no, I can't tour anymore because of hearing loss. And then he was at the Vegas show. I was like, oh, sweet, he actually is here. So he just does occasional shows then? Is that what it is?
He pretty much was the mainstay for probably from 2000. What year was that? I'm sorry, for like 5 years he was pretty much doing everything, and then yeah, he had some major hearing issues and he just wanted to back off, and then we had like a 2.5 year break during COVID where we didn't play anyway. So when we got back together, he's like, I think I can do this tour. So
all right.
Yeah.
So, and then what happened to Cordell Crockett? A bunch of fans have been asking about it. I know he had some legal issues. Is he out of the band, or is he just temporarily?
Right now, it's some stuff going on. I'll just be honest with you. It's kind of personal, so I don't want to say much, but yeah, we hope everything's going well, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. So then, Mike Squires is filling in on.
Yeah, exactly. Who actually played guitar. He actually initially filled in for Dave. And then when he finished that tour, he went and played bass for another band. And then when we came back, we are like, well, Dave's playing, but we need a bass player. And he's like, well, I know all your songs, and I just did a whole tour playing bass. It'll give me a week, you know, give me a couple of weeks, and I'll have it
Wow.
down. And he does, and yeah, that's what I mean. This band's there's a lot of weird little lineup things, and you know, it gets weird, but it's really fun. I mean, everybody gets along, and it's like I said, that's why the set list kind of changes due to like who's in the band. Like, oh, so and so is really good at such and such. We should probably try that song, you know?
Okay. Yeah, because so now what happened is Zach Morris was the drummer
Yeah,
on the
he was
album,
a long time, yeah.
and then now we've got is it Cam Greenwood? Is that his
Yes,
name?
Cam Greenwood, yeah.
And he does the backup for Goddamn Devil.
Dude, it's so funny. We didn't really know he could sing. We had no idea actually. And we're in rehearsal, and Whit hadn't his flight had we were in Leeds, England, and it was for whatever a couple tours ago, and we're rehearsing, and I knew Whit wasn't scheduled to fly in until the next day, so we were rehearsing just as a 4-piece, the band, no vocals, and I forget what song. I think it may have been "That Ain't Living," and all of a sudden I'm just kind of playing the riff, and I'm looking down, and all of a sudden I'm like, Whit starts singing. I'm like, oh wait, Whit's here? How does he? He's early, and I look up, and it's Cam singing, and it sounded like Whit, and I, you know, because it's all loud, so everything's a little bit distorted.
Yeah.
I was like, so after the song, I'm like, dude, that sounded really good. I didn't know you could sing. He's like, yeah, I'm a singer. I sing in a band. I front a band as a drummer and singer, like Phil Collin. You know, he plays drums and with a mic and sings the entire set with his one of his other bands. So we're like, damn. And again, utilize. And then when Whit was, I guess, talking to him, like, how good are you? You know, and he's like, well, I can sing that part and I can sing that part. And so we just started like, sometimes he just would chime in and start singing a part that's obviously Whit's part, and Whit's like, damn, and like just lets him go with it. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome to have that. And that song originally was that was the song that was on a demo, right? Before you guys even did As Ugly as They Want to Be?
Yeah,
Goddamn
it
Devil?
was part of our 4-song demo that we were shopping the labels. And yeah. And
And
the
then
guy who produced that demo actually is Eric Valentine, who is
right.
also we
Who's
went to
a
high school with him.
famous producer?
Yeah. Eric Dodd was his original name, and we went to high school with him. And after high school was when we did the demo, because you know, word of mouth, Eric Valentine is just legendary, you know, and from where we're from in the Bay Area. And but we all knew him. We were friends with him, and I had a rehearsal room literally half a block from where his studio was. So I remember like picking up his drums and taking him to my rehearsal room, learning the songs in 3 days, and then taking the drums back and recording it in his studio, and Whit driving up from Santa Barbara, and we did those 2 songs, and that was kind of the beginning of the band.
It was which one? Goddamn Devil, and what was the other one?
Madman and Goddamn Devil, Don't Go, and Funky Fresh.
Okay.
No, yeah, was it Don't Go? No, was Don't Go on the? I think it was. We thought maybe Don't Go, because it was a time, you know, we're like, well, maybe we'll give him a little poppy song, you know, kind of a more of a pop love song. And then Funky Fresh, Madman, and Goddamn Devil were kind of more of like what we wanted the band to be. So I think that was the 4. It was 2 on each side of the tape, I think is how it was. Something like that. I don't know.
Oh, so Everything About You wasn't, I Hate Everything About You wasn't even on there. But that song was written like years before, I heard, on a piano as a joke.
Written on the piano, you know, kind of like just the melody and the basic verses. And I probably did it on a Tascam 4-track. No, I did do it on a Tascam 4-track, but it was kind of like back burner type song, you know. It's like, because I was writing, you know, stuff like Panhandlin and Goddamn Devil and Madman, kind of fast rock, heavy riffs, you know, more rock. And Everything About You is just kind of a joke song, really, and for fun. And then, you know, when we were sort of, you know, obviously when we started trying to put together longer sets, it was just this extra song I had. So we started playing it, and like immediately I have to say, after the first time we played it, we go, damn, people really like that song. Like it was kind of, you know, pleasantly surprised, like, wow, by the end of the song, everybody's singing along with us. Like, wow, maybe there's something to this.
And it was about some sort of cynical childhood friend that would kind of talk shit about.
Farrell T. Smith is still a great friend of ours, like my best friend, our friend we've known since 1985. And he was just always kind of like, very cynical, I guess you could say. Funny, good sense of humor, but talked a lot of shit about everything.
Yeah, everyone's got a friend like that, though.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah. So is that true though with the music video for that one? I read this on Wikipedia, so I don't know how truth it is.
Okay.
But you guys had the sex dolls and you put helium
Right.
in them, and that the aviation administration authorities had to come down.
Yeah, because there's an airport right there where we filmed it at a beach called, I forget the name of the beach, the Isla Vista Beach, whatever, right in Isla Vista, which is where UCSB is, the college
Yeah.
there, and there's an airport right there, and the Santa Barbara airport, and yeah, they actually flew really freaking high. Those things, they actually put balloons, tied helium balloons to the actual blow up dolls. We were hoping that we weren't the Tom Mignon, the video producer, was hoping that he could just fill them with helium, but it didn't work. So they had to. So if you pan the camera back, you'd see like 4 of these giant balloons actually holding the actual doll up. They must have done it with fishing lines or something, because everything was kind of rigged up right then and there. And I guess one of them broke off and it flew away, and it was again tied to like 3 other big balloons. So probably like someone said something. I don't really remember the whole logistics of that moment, because it was more like we didn't really know what was going on. Everything was just, I don't even know we had cell phones back then. So someone was just like, yeah, there's some report of the thing, and It was 91, 91. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. So then, like, before you get the Aussie, is it before you get the Aussie tour that Roger leaves the band? And I never understood
Yeah.
the story. It said musical differences, but was it more like personality difference? That seemed to be what Dave Fortman was hinting at with that one.
No, it was musical differences, honestly. It really wasn't a personality thing. I think you can say musical difference could be personal differences, because you're saying this person maybe this direction, but it was musical, yeah, for sure. It wasn't like, oh, he's a dick. He's a really great guy. So it was 100% based on the music and what we were doing as a band. Dave probably has heard, he joined after, so he's probably heard different convoluted versions of what happened, but we just wanted to move on, and so we didn't talk much about it. But no, we saw Roger actually came to our show San Diego 4 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him since, and it was great. He's a great guy, and hung out and met his kids, and or his daughter, I should say, and her husband, and it was great. It was really great seeing him. And Eric Phillips, the other guitar player, before Roger was even in the band, there was another guitar player. He came to the show in Ventura. It was like really cool, kind of a full circle of everybody that was. Well, Mark Davis came to our show at the casino in St. Croix up in.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and that's another one that's interesting, because he was with the band during a lot of those big tours and stuff. And then, yeah, whatever you want to call, but he decided he's just that he took a step back to focus on his family, I think is what I was told. Yeah.
It's really admirable. He just was like, you know what, you guys, it's going to be a lot of touring. It's a lot of stuff that I can't commit to. I'm really, committed to being a husband and a father, and, wish you all the best. And we've been friends ever since,
Yeah. And you took a break too when the band broke up. You had a hiatus, and you were kind of you were doing musical projects and just a bunch of random shit.
Random stuff. Yeah. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, trying different things and trying to start other little whatever companies and whatnot, and recording bands, and also still writing, and kind of was in a couple little bands too. So yeah.
Oh, so you still got to play music and still got to go on stage?
No. I only played 2 gigs.
Oh, that's it.
And then a few just for fun, like 2 gigs officially with a band that I was in, and then I played like a few gigs for fun with Whit, with another band. We'd go up and just kind of guest with them like every year up in Tahoe.
Did you miss it during that time? Like,
not really, no. It was weird. It was like I said, you get to do it every couple times a year or whatever. And no, I never really missed it to the point of, I think it was when the opportunity came to do it again. That's when the reality kicked in. Like, wow, I could do it again. Yes, I'd like to do it again. Maybe I did miss it and I didn't realize I missed it. You know what I mean? I think it was just because the reality of it was more like, it's not that I missed being on stage playing. It's that, I wasn't in a situation where I really wanted to do it. Like I wasn't in a band where I was really excited about it. And of course I was always really excited about being in this band back in the day. It's just when we broke up, and everybody's trying different things, and nothing really made me want to go, yes, I want to tour with this band, or, oh, yes, this is it, until we reunited. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we can do this again. And, after 3 shows, you're like, oh, yeah, maybe I did miss it. But you didn't think you missed it. I don't know how to explain it really.
That's interesting. Did you like helping out other bands, like producing and stuff like that? Was that fun?
Yes and no. It was fun, but I don't think I could have. I don't know. I didn't have the patience to do it, full time kind of thing. It was like, um, producing's hard. You got to deal with a lot of personalities, and being in a band, you have to deal with a lot of personalities. But to producing, you're like kind of like you got to deal with everybody's personality coming from all different sides, and you have to deal with their internal stuff. And like Dave said once, it's like kind of like babysitting.
I was gonna say that's what it sounds like. Yeah, you're kind of in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have to work during that time? Like I always hear different things from bands when I interview them. Like, I mean, you can't just live off you guys have 2 massive songs. Can you just live off the royalties of that forever?
No, you always got to like I said, you little this and little that, you always got to think of something, because the income just all of a sudden it just really starts to go down, and all of a sudden you're like, you can't live off of one hit that you wrote, pretty much, unless it's of course Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
That fucking song, man. Like Jesus, she makes so much money off that, I'm sure. But she has a ton of other hits too. So.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But no, you can't, and we didn't, and we all had to do other things, whether it be odd jobs or you always had to figure out a way to make ends meet, for sure. You couldn't live off of it.
Yeah, because Dave Fortman, obviously, for people who don't know, I mean, he's produced like Godsmack and Evanescence, and all these other bands, and then Whit Whit did a bunch of other bands too. So you just did a bunch of like just interesting random things. Wasn't one of the things you did? You made these bongs or something with football helmets. I kind of want one, actually, like for my brother. I wanted to give my brother one.
Pretty rad. Yeah, they're pretty rad. I mean, I don't make them anymore. And in fact, right when I thought the business was going to take off is when the NFL was like, nope.
But you only made like 60 of them or something?
It ended up being more. It was like 140 maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I got the number wrong, and when I talked to Mike about it, I kind of reviewed. But it had been so long, I was like, oh, I even was like, oh yeah, I did used to do that.
That's funny. Yeah. Now, whose idea? Are you a lot of the creative influence of the band in terms of like the artwork and stuff like that? Do you have a lot of is that a lot of coming from you, or is it from the band together?
Yeah. We would do everything together, but I would say I would probably, if there was an art director, it would probably be me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always wondered, like, because the first 2 album, or the EP and then the album, it was that, it had the mascot, and then the Menace to Sobriety in Motel California. You guys just dropped that altogether. I was always like wondered why.
In a lot of ways, there was a lot of, how do I say this? There was a little bit of dysfunction, I would say, a little bit, as to what direction we're going to go in, what we're going to do. We got a lot of backlash for being overexposed. So we, partly some people were like, maybe we should kind of change things up a bit in terms of the logo or whatnot. But luckily we still kept the idea of naming the records, keeping that in line. And then when we reunited, we're like, let's just bring back all the old stuff. Moy, who sadly passed away about 5-6 years ago, he was the artist. And he did great work for us. And then we found in the meantime a couple other great artists that have been sort of taking the stuff and doing new stuff with it, with the kid and whatnot. And of course, as a kid, I always dreamed of having a logo, and that's our logo. Let's go with it,
Yeah.
Every band I liked, Priest would have the same logo. I mean, it took sometimes, AC/DC took a while until they finally got the one. We had it. We kind of veered away. It's what happens in art, right? You want to try new things. All of a sudden you're starting to get like new wave. Not that we went new wave, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was it sort of based? I just realized this today. I'm looking at it and I go, this is kind of like Garbage Pail Kids. Was it kind of based on Garbage Pail Kids a little bit?
It does remind me of that a little bit too. The newer stuff reminds me of Wacky Packs a little bit. And I don't know, that might've been after your time, but or before your time, sorry. It was like these takeoff stickers on stuff, but it was always really, skulls and things and lightning and shit. But Garbage Pail Kids, yeah, No, we didn't consciously do it for we were actually, what we were influenced by was the skate artists in Santa Barbara and Southern California. Moish was an artist for Powell Peralta, which is based in Santa Barbara. And you go to the skate shop and the bottom of skateboards always had the raddest stuff. And that probably was like, oh, we want something kind of like that bottom of that skateboard, like this and that. And then, and he actually worked for Powell and Santa Cruz and did art for skateboards. And we just loved the skate art, the stickers, the bottom of the boards, the t-shirts, the whatever. And so that's what we were going for. It was more of that kind of the skate art in whatever the early 90s, you could say.
Yeah. Are you into, like, I know you guys did that excuse to snowboard tour. Are you into all that stuff? Skateboarding, snowboarding, and surfing?
I don't skate at all. Dave's a really good skater. Whit and I skated when we were kids together. But I'm just like, no, thanks. I mean, I don't want to break my arm on tour. You heard the Hetfield story, right?
Wait, which one?
He was skateboarding like for fun at an arena and he breaks his arm.
Was that recent or was this
back in the day, like in the 90s? And I was like, no, not as. We actually were stupid to even do the snowboard tour, but we thought, oh, it's snow, you're not going to break your leg. And sure enough, our drum tech totally fucked up his leg. And we had to have a friend who happened to be with us just for fun became the drum tech by default. So yeah, but yeah, we're all avid snowboarders. Dave's a great skater. I wouldn't say I'm an avid surfer. I'm more of just a longboarder. I just go surf every now and then for fun. So yeah, but snowboarding's something we all kind of bonded with because we all learned together and basically on that tour, I think is when we all learned how to snowboard. We'd already knew, but he put together a tour with a friend of his, and we started in like Colorado, and the guy was a badass snowboard instructor, and he taught me and Dave how to snowboard like right then and there. And we've been doing it ever since.
Oh, that sounds fun. What about like you guys toured with another one of my favorite bands, Skid Row, which would have been an amazing tour. Of course, it didn't hit the US, but those guys are one of the funniest bands based on their home videos that I've seen in interviews and things.
Yeah, they're funny dudes.
And then you guys are hilarious from what I've seen. Like, was that just like a nonstop laugh riot on that tour or what? It
was fun. It was super fun. It was yeah, I mean, we had great shows. We had some great times, and yeah, I mean, Dave is hilarious. Snake's he's a comedian, and the rest of the guys are great guys. It was really fun.
Yeah, Rachel too. Have you ever seen like his videos where he goes, like, he lays on the baggage carousel at the airport?
Yes, I have seen a couple of those. Yeah, they're great.
I don't know how he doesn't get in trouble for that, or I think he said he did, but yeah,
I would think someone at the airport would be like, "Hey," right?
Yeah, no, that's fun. So, gosh, so many great tours and albums that you guys have done. Is there going to be more music too after this? I mean, I know you just released Rad Wings. Right. So I'm already wanting another album.
We're always, Whit in particular is always thinking of melodies and lyrics, and I definitely have some riffs, and I've said this a million times in the past. Well, I have some riffs, and he's got some lyrics, and Dave's always got a song floating around. It's like, so yeah, there's always something,
And so would Zach Morris be back on this for studio album, or is Cam now kind of a fully fledged member of the band for drums?
Again, that would be, Shannon plays on records with us now still.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So whoever's available, that's all I can say.
So it's pretty laid back in terms of
any of those three would be great. They're all very capable drummers, and officially they're all members of this band at some point. So whoever's available, that's what it comes down to,
Yeah, that's all. And you don't have any, it sounds like at this point, you don't have any aspirations to do any other side projects or other bands or anything.
Right now, we're doing pretty much the coolest thing you can do is we're touring in a band, playing our songs, and so that's kind of the focus right now. But everybody's always kind of dabbling in something. I might start making bongs again.
Did you ever have any like offers to play in other bands, like especially during that hiatus time? Did any other bands call you? Or
I played in a band called Broham.
Yeah.
And they were signed to some label. And other than that, I mean, I had a few offers for auditions, but I wasn't interested. I just was like, I had just left the band or whatever. The band had just quit or broke up. Sorry. And so I was like, I don't want to get right back into it right now. I think I was at the time I was really kind of over it. Not over, it was kind of more of like the bullshit of the business and some of the, it was kind of a whirlwind, and it was a great run, but it's like I needed to get away from it a little bit, honestly. As you can imagine, there's a lot of, it's a wonderful thing to be in a band and tour and to actually sell records and be able to see the world. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, really, just about. But there's also a lot of bullshit that goes with it. And you kind of like, sometimes you just want to step away from it. And I think for me, like I'm not good at saying no. So I had to just literally just walk away for a while and just live a normal life, I guess you could say, for a little while.
Gotcha. So do you think it's gotten, the bullshit is better now than it was back then? Because back then you had the record labels and there's like executives and people on your back, whereas now you're kind of, it's more DIY, right?
Bullshit is way less. It's way less money, but it's way less bullshit. It's kind of goes together.
I get, yeah, but you guys get more of the there's less people to split the money with, right? Like with the merch.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. There's that too. But I'm just saying, like being with a major label and selling 1 million records, it's yeah. There's going to be more money because you're you're everywhere. You're getting paid. But no, I'm not complaining. It's fine. We're eking out a living, sort of. But it's and so, yeah, but the bullshit is way less because, and I'm not even saying it's the record company's fault. It's just, there's a lot more people involved, like you just said. And so there's a lot more chances of there being friction or somebody that maybe has a different idea of how things should be. And then people throwing their weight around and all these other things. And like I said, the bullshit, that it's never fun. I mean, I'm sure it's in every line of work and everything people do. You work at a restaurant, you're going to have one cook hates the other cook or whatever it may be, or this busboy is doing this wrong, or any job, there's always, I mean, I've had other jobs too. And there's always some bullshit. So if it's more or less, I don't know, but there's less more now as the band's kind of a smaller entity than when it was a big thing.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. Cause I think people forget about that they think it's just all fun and parties, but there's a lot of business. There's a lot of work that goes along with that. And like you said, in any business, there's going to be bullshit. So
yeah,
that's a good point. But it's nice that it's less now, that you guys can hopefully just have a little more fun.
Yeah. And, as we get older too, it's like, really, who cares? Sometimes you just say, who cares?
Like with what, like other the managers or something?
I don't know. I think when you're young, obviously there's a little bit of this, like you want to be cool, like you want to be accepted, you want to be cool, you want to be cutting edge, things like that. And you might take things much more to heart, like when you read a bad interview about your band, or a bad review, or somebody from another band talk shit about your band. Remember that was like, that's such a big thing. And I'm sure it's a very much a young thing, bands in their 20s, they talk shit about each other. I mean, you have like hip hop takes it to a whole nother level where they have the beef, but let's admit it, in the 80s and 90s and even beyond, metal bands talk shit about each other. It was like this thing. Remember Guns N' Roses and Poison had that big thing where they dumped a cooler on the manager's head or something stupid like that. And you always have this bag. Remember when Vince Neil and Axl Rose were gonna fight? It was like this, they're gonna like
he punched out Izzy Stradlin, I think.
Like all these crazy things, and then you had Kid Rock and Tommy Lee get into it. And so that's the kind of bullshit we haven't encountered any of that this second run. It's maybe because we're just all older now. We're like, dude, I don't care, right? Like every band we've toured with in the last 10, 12 years has been super cool. We've gotten along. We've never, and even back then, every band was great, but we'd hear it. Bands would talk shit about us, right? And we probably talk shit about other bands, but back then
who talked shit about you? I don't remember that.
Everybody.
Really?
It was more like the alternative bands.
Oh, they were too cool. Yeah. The grunge.
Yeah. All the metal bands were fucking cool as shit to us. Like all our heroes, like Priest and Ozzy and Motorhead, they were like, hello, Mike, come on, have a pint with us. That was all great. So in a way, but we cared. When you're young, you care a lot about they never said, I don't think they were, but like, let's say a Jane's Addiction, a really cool band that we idolized. Not that they did, but I'm saying, let's just say you heard that they said some shit about you in an interview. You're like, it hits you like, fuck, I wanted them to like us, and you get all bummed out. And now I'd be like, I don't care.
No, I think that's just getting older though, isn't it?
Get older, you're like, who cares what that person thinks of our band?
Well, yeah, because I interview a lot of musicians, and so it seems like a lot of them are just happy to be able to tour and be able to make music and be able to do this. Well. And so why would they talk shit about? They just want to be happy, and they're happy for everyone else. Because I kind of remember that too. Certain bands, even within the metal community, they're like, oh, those guys are too soft. We're heavy. We're real. Yeah. And now you see like they're all touring with each other, and it doesn't really matter.
No, and you notice that it's an age thing, because it's like, we would worry about, we don't know if we should tour with them because they're considered this and we don't want to be considered that. You know what I mean? And now we're like, will we fill the rooms? Are they cool? Are they cool dudes, or are they cool girls, or whatever? Like, well, as long as we don't hear that they're completely mean, of course we'll tour with whoever, And so, yeah, it's an age thing for sure. I don't know if maybe the music's changed better for that. Like, but you see it a lot in pop music, a lot of shit talking,
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's you're right. That's
it's a young person's game, I guess, that game that they play.
Although I will say Motley Crue seems to still partake in that shit talking here and there. I feel like that's how they build up their brand, is by getting press.
They're the bad boys of rock right there,
Did you ever do shows with them?
No, never did. We did a show with Vince Neil when you remember you're invited and your friend can't come, the single.
I fucking love that song. I know, it's weird.
Right after he got out of Crue, we did an award show with him, and he was super nice, and his band was super nice. And that's the only dude we've really played a show with. We never did a show with Motley Crue, but I would love to. God, I'd love to right now. Love Crue.
That would be a fun tour, with John 5 too. Like,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's another one, because it's like I swear they've talked shit about Poison, and now they got Poison opening up for them. So
again, what you said, nowadays people are like, we're just happy to be here filling a fucking arena. Fuck yeah, come on.
Can't complain. So how's the tour with Fozzy going? You knew them, those guys.
Well, we knew Chris Jericho because we've played with Fozzy at least once or twice over the last 10 years in England. And I just remember meeting him a couple times, and Chris is really nice. And it's been really, what do you call it? Smooth sailing, pretty great tour, great guys. We all hang out, and our dressing rooms are sometimes we're playing clubs, and you're just there, and everybody gets along great.
And he doesn't have any sort of, it's gotta be weird because he's such a big wrestler. Star. He doesn't have any sort of prima donna thing. Like, I'm the big star. I'm the big wrestling star.
No, we haven't felt anything like that. Everybody's been treated well, on both sides. I think Pistols at Dawn is a great opening band that's playing with us. They're great guys.
Yeah, I had the drummer on my show. He's super nice.
Yeah, super sweet, all of them. And Chris, the singer, is like kind of helping me try to get in shape. He used to be a personal trainer. Like, he totally knows his shit. He's like, dude, you're doing your squats all wrong. Look, you got to go like this. I'm like, oh, thanks. Like,
Oh, that's interesting, because you seem like you're in pretty good shape. Like, you're really thin. You're not.
Hey, see, it's working. It's working.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you seem to be getting along on stage. Okay, you're running around, jumping, having fun.
Dude, I'm like addicted to squats now, and I hated them at this right at the beginning of this tour. And my wife's like, "You got to do squats. It's as your age."
I fucking hate squats too. Dude,
they're actually kind of rad.
The worst.
I'm getting them down. The more you do them, the easier they get, and you can do them anywhere. You can just. I was sitting at a red light the other day to cross the street. I got in 15 squats. Again, I don't care what people
with no weight. You just because you got to push it.
They're called
it's such an awkward position. You got to push your hips.
Really goofy.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to start doing it around the kids because it'll just embarrass the hell out of them.
Yeah, no, that's really funny
looking. But again, going back to the getting older, like, I don't care. I'm doing it for my own health, and I don't care if everybody pointing at and laughing at me. I don't care.
What about the upper body? You doing the chest and the biceps?
I do push-ups.
Yeah.
Kind of hate them, but sometimes I like them. But it seems that some days I just like, I fucking don't want to do push-ups.
What about abs? Because that's my biggest thing. Is like, I can get
sit-ups, dude. They're fucking bunk, dude.
Yeah.
I like doing sit-downs.
Yeah. Well, so is there somebody was asking about if there would be a possible live CD, or I would prefer a live DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. Would there be any? Because you guys have never had a live disc ever, right?
No. I think we've tried a couple times and it just didn't work out, or there's some mess up with one microphone, something bled into it, or we played like shit. I don't remember, but yeah, who knows? Yeah, I mean, that's that's always an idea, right?
Right. Yeah. Or any other future plans? Future like, would you extend this current tour? Because I had to drive to Vegas. I'm actually in Phoenix. And
We
Phoenix,
have, because we've been doing like we're doing it. We just did we're finishing up one more week of the States tour, and we've covered a lot of the country, but this fucking country is so big, man. There's so many places we didn't play, and you're like, dang, you could really. I mean, we used to back in the day, it would be 3 months you tour the States with Def Leppard, 3 months solid, just bang, bang, bang. We're ending about 5 weeks, so you could, yeah, we have talked about doing another leg for sure.
oh, okay, sweet.
No, it's been great, man. We didn't know what to expect. Honestly, we've been going to Europe every year practically for the last 10 years, and Europe's been fantastic. We've been to Australia a couple of times, South America, but we didn't know, and you come back here and you're like, oh my God, this is where it all began. This is so cool. This is like, our people. This is this is what we are as Americans. And I think a lot of our music is very American in terms of the lyrical content, and some of maybe some of the stuff we reference is very Americana,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially, yeah, for me as a kid,
Excuse me.
like one of my favorite bands, so American. Yeah. Just like that. And that humor. I feel like that's an American kind of
Right.
humor.
And we talk shit about, it's funny that we had a song Panhandlin that Whit had the Trump line.
I know. I love that line.
He picked that up from like a homeless person that would call people, hey, Mr. Trump, because all we knew Donald Trump as was a really rich dude. That's all we knew about him. That's it. Super rich dude. So it was kind of a joke with this homeless dude, like, hey, yo, Mr. Trump, you got any spare change? And we incorporated it in the song. And then now we're playing it. We're like, people are going to take this like one way or the other. They think this is political. It's not. It's just a lyric that was a joke. It was not making fun of. It was referencing anybody that has anything as a rich person being Mr. Trump.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, I love that song. And everybody, we all sang along, I think, at the Vegas where I did. I don't know. I was singing along. I love that one. That whole album is amazing in my opinion. I love it. I think you guys are, it's weird because I feel like I know you have two massive hits, but in so many ways I feel like you guys are underrated.
Well, thanks.
Don't you think though? I mean, like, because so many of the album tracks are so good and you're so good live. And yeah, you have those two songs, but that doesn't really define the band, in my opinion. And you've made so many good records after that.
But I mean, it isn't ever, you think about Judas Priest, they had Living After Midnight was their big radio hit. And I love that song. I love it. But then you go, wow, but listen to this other stuff. Like it's a whole other thing. And, we're so lucky to have hits. Trust me. It's like, wow. It's like someone just opened a door for you and said, go play your songs on stage, all of them, And so, I mean, I'm trying to think of all the bands, and God, look at the Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge. It's nothing like what the band really is, but it opened those doors like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Van Halen's first hit was "You Really Got Me," a cover song by the Kinks. Although they did a pretty fucking Van Halen.
They put their stamp on that one,
yeah, for sure. And Eddie for sure.
That's what's funny to me though. Like, and I get it if you're just kind of a casual fan, you're like, oh, I got to hear Cats in the Cradle. But to me, I'm like, okay, like that's probably my least favorite song that you guys do live because I'm like, there's so many other album cuts that I'm like, I need to hear those.
90% of what we do.
Yeah,
it's like 10% of what we do is maybe an acoustic mellow song, and then the rest is like hard rock, is what it is.
Yeah, the metal stuff is great. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I hope you guys do add more dates in the US.
Like I said, that's what we're hoping to do. And we are going to Europe in August for a month, and then maybe come back here. It takes a little time, but we'd love to come back. We've had such a great time. We've had such great response from the crowds, the fans, whatever. And people have been really nice. I mean, the venues, the people working at venues, the promoters, the club owners, whatnot, venue owners, runners, people that own the place, has been like really positive feedback and just really great experience for us. Because like I said, we didn't know what to expect, and the USA has been great.
It's amazing. Like I said, like I bought the shirt, I bought the poster, I got the hat. I try to support it because it was only $20 a ticket. I was like, dude, I felt bad. I was like, I want to I bought a lot of drinks too. So hopefully you got a little cut of that maybe.
No, we don't get a cut of that, but we definitely get a cut of that. So keep buying the merch.
Yeah. And then you guys don't do meet and greets. That's another thing. Or
Well, a lot of it post COVID, we've been like, let's just calm down. Everybody was getting sick. We were doing meet and greets, and everybody got sick, and it was a freaking nightmare.
okay.
So it's something we'd like to do, but man, it's like I swear you get sick, man. It's people just
You could do like the like Kiss where they have the
yeah, I know,
aquarium.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah, because it's like my buddy said, like after COVID, he's like, I think we just need to get rid of handshakes. Like, what is the point of that? I'm like, I think I'm good with that. It's like, is it really worth? Yeah, or fist bump or something different, just because it's not worth getting sick for, you know?
Man, I know, and that's the whole thing, right? It's your hands like contaminated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I always end promoting a charity or a nonprofit or something, a cause. Is there something that you have that's near and dear to your heart?
Right now, just support trans people. I know people have different opinions about it, but I know some and people that are just like, look, we just don't want to be villainized for a lifestyle choice. It's not. I'm not trying to impede on your thing. I'm just want to be able to live my life. I went to a drag show recently for the first time. I went to my first Pride, and I was like, this is so much fun. I hate this. There's nothing to hate here. This is just people being themselves and having fun with it. No one's trying to push something on me. I went there willingly and saw a fun drag show, and it was a blast. So
yeah, I think we had I went to the Rockin' Pod, and are you familiar with that event in Nashville?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like all these bands and all the rock podcasters, and one of the musicians is trans, and nobody, she got up and played, and nobody cared. It wasn't, and I was like kind of surprised. I was kind of nervous. I was like, it's Nashville, like, are people gonna like throw stuff, or I don't know what to expect. And I was like, okay, good. Like nobody cares. Like, and I wish, people. I think we just need just love everybody. That's always been my motto, I guess, is just to kind of accept everyone. And I mean, as long as you're not hurting someone else.
Exactly. Just don't make a big deal out of it. Just, if it gets to a point where someone's really pissing you off, talk to them. But other than that, like, just let people be and do their thing. If they're not hurting anybody, then nobody should even care.
Right. No, that's what this country was founded on, is religions and different people, different music. Like you said, music, people talking shit to each other.
I grew up in the Bay Area, and that's where the whole hippie movement started, and then the gay community really started big in San Francisco, the Castro and stuff, and then thrash metal came about. That's what San Francisco's famous for, is people doing shit that might freak other people out, but in the end, you're like, do it, I mean, Metallica, I lived there, and it was like thrash metal night every Monday and shit. And it was like, the people in the neighborhood freak out, all these metal people showing up, but they're all devil worshippers, and this music's way too heavy. But it's like, it's kind of a little thing like that. It's like people, if you're open-minded, see the beauty in the difference, that's what life is about, especially art. Like, you don't want art to be the same for thousands of years. You want it to evolve, change, and be creative. And I think, like everything from a drag show to the Grateful Dead concert to a Metallica concert, it's like very different things, different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys hung out with the Metallica people a little bit, right?
Oh yeah. We've crossed paths, in particular with Kirk, and of course, Robert Trujillo. He was in a band with Whit, for a minute, Medication.
Oh,
and,
right.
Shows. And of course, Whit plays in the wedding band with them, with Kirk and Rob. They've done a few shows. So yeah. And we've known Kirk since 1987, 88. Just been a friend of ours, because Bay Area, you just meet people. And it was before we even were in Ugly Kid Joe together. We met Kirk, and he's been he's the nicest rock star I've ever met. Like I said, I met him before we were even a band. So he's always been a sweetheart.
Very cool. All right. Well, look forward to hopefully some new shows with Ugly Kid Joe. I'll see you again. I'll have to drive, maybe if it's California or something, or Vegas again, or maybe Phoenix.
Yeah. Hope, dude, that's such a great rock town, man.
Right.
We weren't playing it, because I remember back in the day playing with Ozzy and playing clubs there. It was always freaking great.
Yeah. Rock. You did one. I saw it was before I moved here. I used to live in Seattle, but you guys, I saw on like the history, you guys played a show with like Korn and like,
Rob came out, I think, and sang with us at that show, because Rob lives in Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another good reason to come here. I forgot.
No
Rob
doubt.
and Alice Cooper lives here too.
That's right. We did a tour with Alice Cooper not that long ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you've
that was
done it
another
all.
that treated us great. He had Whit come out and sing with him one of the songs. And yeah, Alice Cooper was super nice.
That's what
He-
everyone
That's
tells me.
an old dude that still puts on a great show, gives it 110, has all the props, sings great, and he wears the makeup, so he just looks like he's always looked.
Right.
You don't think of him as being an old man. He's like just a badass front man, doing his thing, and a great singer, and great songs, and
Yeah.
a great freaking band. Always a great band. Wow.
Oh yeah, he's got Ryan Roxy and Nita Strauss.
Yeah, he gets the great players, and they just put on a great show. It's fun.
Cool.
Super fun.
All right. Well, everyone should check out the tour that if it's coming to their town, or if you add dates, because I loved the one in Vegas. That was a great show. So, and of course the new record's out now, Rad Wings of Destiny. It's on everywhere, streaming and all that stuff. Can people get it on vinyl?
Yeah, we're selling vinyl all the time. We were selling with the shows, of course, but
Yeah.
can you get uglykidjoe.net? That's tough because I know we've shipped a bunch out here to sell. We didn't make a ton, obviously, because it's vinyl. You don't want to sprint a billion vinyls, and then you're sitting there looking in your shed like, I've got 600 vinyl records from the record we did 6 years ago. What am I going to do with this shit? Well, there's still people collect them, and they look really cool. Of course, they open up. It's got all this cool art. And we'll probably be selling a bunch online. Whatever we've left. Although they're going pretty quick, so we're stoked.
Cool. And yeah, like I said, all the cool merch too. I love that stuff. So people should definitely buy merch.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye. Klaus Eichstadt. He's the Ugly Kid Joe OG original guitarist. See him on tour in the US with Fozzy and Pistols at Dawn, or one of the other worldwide shows that they do. The new album, Rad Wings of Destiny, is available now, along with lots of cool merch. You can also support the band by sharing their stuff on social media, and sharing this episode on social media helps the band and my little show. So I appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you watch or listen to the show. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. Appreciate all your support. Have a great rest of your day, and shoot for the moon.